Look into the eyes of the people that you love. Not me.
What? Just listening.
I am Thor.
Adam, we are on the cusp of the latest Thor Love and Thunder movie coming out. So we're going to do mainly a Thor show. We have not done a Thor show. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about some of the expectations coming up for the movie, some of the news coming out from the early reviews from either YouTubers or even some of the critics. But mainly what we're going to get into the comic books, specifically Gorr, the God Butcher comics.
Nice.
So welcome, my friend. How are you?
Well, a lot of ups and downs, strikes and gutters, a lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of what have yous, but you're getting through. Not
Right.
sure if I am the boxer or the bag today, but I'm living, I'm alive, and I'm grateful.
Yeah, certain days are like, am I the hammer? Am I Mjolnir? Or am I the nail? Who knows? Or am I the villain getting hammered by Mjolnir? We had that conversation earlier. Where it was like, yeah, not a great day, but you know what? It's a great day to stream, and it's one of the reasons we do this because we get to escape. That's why we named the show The Escape, Adam.
Exactly, and I'll prove to you right now why you want to escape. You want to know if you're the boxer or the bag? Go get some gas, and
yeah, watch the news. See how that goes for you.
You'll know which one you are then, and then you'll be like, I gotta get out of here, and we'll be like, come on over, let's talk. Check out these players. See what I did there, Nick? See what I did there?
So yeah. Thank you for cleaning that up for me.
It's like, no.
Oh, well, that's the end of our stream tonight. But yeah. So, Thor Love and Thunder comes out. Well, technically today,
now.
I think. Yeah, it's out now. But I'm not going to go see it till tomorrow, and I think you said you're going to go check it out sometime this weekend as well.
I'm going to either see it tomorrow night or I'm going to see it Saturday morning.
Yeah. So, but we will probably next show will be a Thor review show, depending on how good or not great it is. Will depend on if it's just a review show or if it's a footnote in the news. So We'll go from there. But one of the things Adam and I kicked around this idea. So a big part of the show is comic books, and one of the things that we really wanted to get into was like a character study, and this was Adam's brainchild, where you take a character maybe people don't know or should know, and we do kind of a deep dive into that. And I think that's kind of what we're going to get into a little bit today, especially with Thor Love and Thunder. If you don't know the story for Love and Thunder, it's it's that, but also it's part of my issue with Marvel right now, where they just cram so many storylines into so many good storylines into one ball of what have you.
Well, honestly, you know what? They can't take that burden alone because DC's done it too, man. Death of Superman, and even though I really like Batman v Superman, once I saw the director's cut, that is a solid movie. It's very good. It's the best movie ever. Best director's cut ever made. Anyways, sorry. I meant no offense there. It was all love for comedy. Not evil. That was a joke too. So yeah, what the hell was I saying about? I lost it. What was I talking about?
Well, we were talking about how
I got awkward there for a minute.
Yeah, how Marvel and DC are kind of cannibalizing some of their best storylines, and this is a fairly recent story. Like, really, first of all, if you have not read Gorr the God Butcher, it's fantastic. I just plowed through it just in the last couple of days so that I could be ready for this show and be ready for the movie. And after reading that, I was like, because this came out,
10 years ago. No,
or
12.
It was 13?
It was like 12. Whenever, because smack dab, like in the middle of the run somewhere, Thor: The Dark World starts coming out. So maybe
Well,
not
that-
2012, 13, yeah.
Yeah,
Ish.
because reading the comics actually had ads for Iron Man 3,
Right.
saying that was in theaters. So
Yeah, so it's yeah, something like that.
So, but relatively in comic books and all the lore that is Marvel Comics is a very recent story, and just reading it. And if you, we'll get into the storyline a little bit later, but the topic
Yeah.
right now is my issue is with Marvel and, like you said, DC, both guilty of it, of
Right,
really
right.
cannibalizing really important storylines in a very short amount of time. Because they did Marvel's done it with Civil War now, and the rumor is they haven't done it yet, but they're going to do Secret Wars, right? I think is something that they're leaning towards. Who knows?
I mean that's what's juggling around. We don't
At
know.
this point in Phase 4, who knows?
I know, right?
They've really. I mean they took 10 years to tell it, but they tore the Infinity Stone story, which cool. It was awesome. It was an epic journey, but they are burning through storylines right now.
Yeah, well, there's tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff out there to cherry pick from, but the problem is how deep can you go before? Like, you can't just say abort the mission, abort the mission. Like you once you got your groove going in Marvel Phase 1 and in Marvel Phase 2, you had your Avengers movie locked in. You knew you were going to at least make it, and you were going to put it out, and you knew it was going to be successful by then. You know what I mean? And now it's kind of a different situation, right? Like who is Marvel now? Like who's on the ground? A bunch of TV characters? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like I said, they're just taking really decades worth of stories and just.
Now, when we say that, though, you bring that up. It does make me curious. There's things visually I am excited to see in this movie. If they do them, I don't know. Like I'm excited to see a Viking sailboat flying through space.
Right.
You know, that would be cool.
Yeah. So
just because I've never seen it.
Yeah. So 2013. That was bugging me. I just want to confirm that. So 2013.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, so let's get into the comics. So there are certain things that we definitely want to see. Certain things we know from the trailers that we're already going to see. We're going to see the flying rams. We're going to see Gorr. We're going to see Jane Foster as Thor, however you want to say. Thor, the difference between Thor and Mighty Thor, whatever, if you want to draw that many, split the hair that
is that
many
what
ways.
it is? So it is. There's Thor and the Mighty Thor.
I think so. That's because it's Thor. You can't. It's his name. You can't just give it away.
Right.
It's like saying I'm Adam now. Be like, oh, that's not true. That's not how it goes. That's not my name.
You remember back in the day, there was a little scientist, archaeologist guy, and he had to take the hammer and change into Thor to go save the day.
Oh yeah, that was for TV.
No, that was in the comics too.
Was that in the comics too?
The TV got it from the comics.
Right. Yeah.
And there was a period too in the comic books. This is why Taika Waititi in this driver's seat for this character. And now I'm adding the before we get into the comic books, I add Chris Helmsworth to it because his interpretation of the character is funny, like we talked before. But there was one point in fucking Thor history, it's canon, he was a frog. He got turned into a frog.
Right.
A little frog. I don't want to see. I don't know. Do I want to see a Thor frog movie? If we keep going on like this, we might.
Yeah, and one of my big things is I'm slightly concerned of how hot of a name Taika Waititi is right now. He seems to be thrown in with every project, and here's one reason I have a bit of concern.
Next Star Wars is his.
Well, that involves that a little bit, but here's part of the reason, because you know how when you hear, oh, this person's taking over or is going to do this, and you're like, do they know the story? And sometimes you go, do they know the story? How well are they versed in this? And this is being reported today, and this is from Bounding in the Comics. Announced Star Wars writer director Taika Waititi claims he forgot about prequel films starring Natalie Portman because he wanted Natalie Portman to be in his Star Wars movie. So we kind of have that meme where you got people looking around like, what? So once again, we get into, does this guy actually know his shit when it comes to doing a Star Wars movie?
No.
If Star Wars isn't in enough trouble as it is, and here's another sidebar one I want to get into, how much trouble Disney may be in if this movie does not perform. But my concern is with people like Taika Waititi taking over major franchises, how much does he actually know? And apparently, maybe he just got excited. Maybe he was just, so lost and, enjoyed working with Natalie Portman so much that he forgot that she was freaking Queen Amidala.
The mother of the savior. Well, he's not quite the savior, but he kind of was. He's the one that killed the emperor.
Sweet Lord. I just go like, these are the people that are in charge of the franchise. These are the people. It's like when you leave your kid with a babysitter the first time, you're like, man, I really hope they're good people. It turns out they don't know anything about the kids. They don't know how to take care of them. They don't know what they're doing. But you don't find this out till later. So Taika Waititi scares me, and it scares me that he's the hot name. He's like J.J. Abrams was a few years ago, where he's just kind of getting his name tossed around everywhere, and it's just turning out now that turns out J.J. Abrams isn't as great as everybody thought he was.
Okay, so this makes me think of something that kind of makes me feel a little sad. Taika Waititi shouldn't be. Don't kill me, people. Taika Waititi should not be wasting his time with comic book movies.
No,
I've seen Jojo Rabbit. It's very good. It's deep. And I think he should be finding that next script. When they said Scooby-Doo this bitch and Spider-Man, he needs to go Tom Hanks this bitch. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Hey, we should have Tom Hanks as Reed Richards, man.
Once we get to that bridge, we'll discuss it. That's fine. But right now, I'm scared that basically not that Taika Waititi is. Hello, you. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, the lover boy. But yeah, I'm very concerned as that Taika Waititi is not quite a one-trick pony, but he might be a touch out of his depth. A little, yeah, I'm not sure. He might be a little bit out of his depth as to comic book movies or maybe sci-fi in general. You've seen more Taika Waititi stuff than I have. I've pretty much only seen the Marvels, or not the Marvels, but the Thor, Ragnarok, and I mean, let's talk about it. One of the biggest complaints about Thor Ragnarok was there's way too much comedy into it, and so far the early reviews are they've just been amplified. All the spots where there's this, that, or the other, they've just been amplified. So if you are not a fan of the style of humor in the movie, decent chance you may not like this film.
Well, and I've heard people like John Campea said the same thing you just did. But he also said that the humor and the jokes in this movie are way more than they were in Ragnarok. So
yes,
what does that tell you?
It is Taika Waititi unleashed even more. So if you are not a Taika Waititi guy just on the fringe, it's more Taika Waititi.
So I'm going to see this. I would see this movie anyway, but probably wouldn't go to the theater. I'd go to the theater this weekend, but I wouldn't see Thor. in that being said, I'm going to the theater this weekend. I'm going to see Thor for the sake of the movie, and that I want to see a Viking boat in space. But
and here's the thing too, Adam. Getting into the comic book version, if you read Gorr the God Butcher, it is told in such a complex way. And like I said, we were talking about this earlier. I would say if this is not at least a 2-movie story, maybe a 3-movie story, because the complex nature as to how the story in the comic books is told.
Okay, great. I read this as it was coming out. Maybe I started about 4 issues deep, doesn't matter. So it's been a long time since I've read it. They had an impact on me. Some comics, some of them I've kind of cherry picked and went back and forth here and there. But this was fresh on your plate. So yes, everybody, Nick is right. This should be at least a 2-movie thing. Are there things you could cut out of the Gorr the God Butcher story? Yes, there is. Are there things that you can laugh at in this Gorr the God Butcher story? Yes, but they're not. But it's not because Thor knows that he's funny. He does something and he's the fish out of water, and that's what's funny. It's not like he knows about it. Anyways, Nick, paint the picture of how epic this thing is and what it does. Like, just take us into the first issue.
All right. Well, I'll just the overreaching story is it is 3 timelines concurrently running at the same time, because Gorr the God Butcher is essentially just when the story picks up, he's just killing gods at will through all of history.
Yes, and they're yes.
So you've got
it's
murder. Yeah, he is. When we pick it up in the story, he is a god-killing machine.
Yeah, and what we mean by that, it's not like, I challenge you, Thor, I'm Gorr, we're gonna fight. No, it's not like that. Or God of Mars, let's just say that. He shows up and murders them. It's not a fight. There's nothing to fight for. He's a murderer.
He is, and before anybody who hasn't read Thor, Christian gods there's no Christian gods, there's no earthly gods except for the Asgardian gods. So don't get offended. Christian, Muslim, there's no dealing with those gods. So don't worry. You can read it just fine and have fun. But when we pick up the story, he has perfected killing gods.
Yeah.
He has gotten to the point where gods fear him.
He's a serial killer, essentially.
He is trying to perform a genocide of gods. If you are a god or worship a god, he is going after them. The end. And he is killing them at will.
What really sticks with me is the first few pages of this story where the girl's praying for Thor to bring water, and he shows up. He says, what kind of god would I be if I didn't answer prayers? And he's happy, and he's flighty, he's happy, he's Thor. But when he goes to investigate what happened to their gods, he's disturbed, very disturbed. And he's like, this wasn't battle. That's the thing that he says. This wasn't battle.
Yeah, this wasn't war. This wasn't gods dying in war. He's like, this was butchered. These gods were butchered. And so when he comes across I forget the name of it, but it's basically a pantheon of where the gods, or those gods for that particular planet, their pantheon or whatever, they're just hung from hooks. It's literally just it's like cattle. They were slaughtered like cattle.
Exactly.
And so the overarching story is there's essentially 3 Thors. You have the young god Thor, who doesn't have, and I like how they really draw the distinction, because the young Thor doesn't have Mjolnir yet. So he, kind of about where he's at. He's very immature.
Is it Stormbreaker that he has, though?
It doesn't say. It just says he has an axe. They don't specify. They don't give the
they don't give the name? Okay. I thought they did.
No, because I'd been like, oh yeah, like
nerd
they sure did. Nerd juices are flowing.
Yeah, really.
But, So we have young Thor, and then we have Avengers level Thor. So he's got Mjolnir. He's very mature, and then we have essentially old Thor, who's about this close to death. He's been battling the Black Berserkers, which are creatures created by Gorr the God Butcher. So that he said he's been fighting these for 900 years, and he's literally this close to just. He actually does say, he's like, just kill me, I'm done, I'm tired, I've been fighting you for 900 years, I'm done. So the reason I specifically said that he's killing all these gods over time is because it spans 3 lifetimes of Thor, and they kind of interweave them to where Thor has three very distinct interactions with him. He has the first time he meets him, and he thinks he's defeated him in a cave, and it's kind of like one of the first time it's taken a lot out of Thor, because it's like the first time he's like felt fear. He's feared, and it's very specific in this cave. He's trying to work off some stress with a lady, and he's just like, yeah, I'm not able to perform right now because I'm scared of what happened 2 weeks ago. That's how much it affected him.
Was that after he was tortured, or before?
It doesn't,
because Gorr tortured Thor.
Yes, and that's kind of where they did a really good job of weaving the story, but there are certain things where it's like, okay, at what point are we here? And there's a little bit of confusion as to where we are. And that's one of the spots where I'm like, I'm not sure if that's where he was, in captivity, or he just had his encounter with him in the cave.
Okay, because I remember the Vikings saving him, or whatever. Yes. And they said, we'll hunt him down, and they'll sing songs. And he looked at you and goes, we'll never talk about this again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but overall, so the overarching story is you've got 3 timelines, all not going at the same time, because that's not how time works. But the interactions of the Thor, and they eventually all weave in together. Because Thor, apparently, that's one thing I didn't know very much about Thor. Thor is very accustomed to traveling through time.
Yeah, I mean, you got, who wrote this? I think we shouldn't even be talking about it unless we know who wrote it. You know what I mean? I feel it's that good. It's that epic.
Yeah, so here's, I've got the first issue right here. And it's written by Jason Aaron. I thought he did a fantastic job. And the art is done by Esad Ribic. I apologize for pronouncing that incorrectly. And Dean White. And the art in this is phenomenal. It's one of those. It's one of the few things where, like, I hate to be like a fat guy about this, but like it's total like peanut butter and jelly, where like it just works so well together, because they have one issue like kind of in between the main storylines, because it's broken into mainly 2 main storylines. I can hear that. And
Sorry about that.
And you can tell there's a bit of a drop off, maybe just because I don't like the change in the art. I'm just like, we need to get through this issue so that we can get to the really good stuff. So, but the art in this is just, it's freaking phenomenal. It's hard. I think that's more painting. That's kind of like the Alex Ross, where it's painted instead of, it's not just, you can tell it's not typical comic art. So
no, it's they don't leave. They weave this story, and I will use the word epic. They weave this epic story.
It 100% is an epic story.
It's it's so good, and they don't leave anything on the table. You get a boat that flies. I know I brought it this 3rd time. I'll stop. But you get that Viking boat flying through space. You get Odin on his knees praying to Thor to beat Gorr.
Right.
Oh, man.
Spoilers at the end. But anyway.
We've escaped, and all knowledge is there.
But the reason they're so eventually for the final. So, but we get to the point to the final battle where we have three Thors. Say that 5 times fast. Battling Gorr the God Butcher because they know they cannot defeat him by himself. Because throughout time, obviously, he's just gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. Like I said, by the time the young Thor catches up to him, he's already a god murdering machine. Like he's so efficient at it.
I just remembered why they beat him.
Yeah.
No, I won't say that. That's fine.
No, well, I mean, we'll get there, but yeah.
Yeah. I just remembered, and it's sweet. And it's okay. And so all of this that he and I are talking about, this is where I'm saying, like, they're 1950ing, 60ing this up with these movies. You know, they're taking these stories and they're making a Batman 66. They're taking these stories and they're doing that kind of shit with them, and they're not Batman 66. You know what I mean? It's not. It's like Paul Stanley once said when they were wearing the makeup. Okay, he said, we started out, we were a rock and roll band, we wore makeup, we were crazy and all this kind of stuff. He said, and it was awesome. He says, then one day, he says, and I would look out into the crowd and I'd see all these people chanting, wearing makeup, all this stuff. He says, and then one day I came in and I saw people were bringing their little kids and everything to it. And then I looked around me and I was like, we looked like Ringling Brothers. He goes, and we're not Ringling Brothers. He goes, so that's why we took the makeup off to begin with, back in the 80s. Like they had to reharden themselves up. And so this is like Ringling Brothers to me. Like this, I mean, if you wanted to tell a fun story, tell something touching about Jane. I've never read the cancer story, Jane Foster. I really don't have a right to talk about this. I was going to say, tell your Jane Foster story. But I mean, that could be an epic story right there. I've never read it. What I'm saying is don't pick the epics. You know what I mean? If you're not going to do them right.
Well, yeah, that's part of the issue, right? And that's kind of what I was saying earlier, where so in Thor Love and Thunder, you've got 2 storylines. Now, I think they could have gotten away sort of with just the Jane storyline, but the Gorr, the God Butcher storyline, that can't be one movie. That can't be like a part of the movie.
No. Only way you get away with that is if Gorr the God Butcher is your Thanos, and you keep finding clues to murder different gods throughout the for the next 5 years, and then he's your big reveal. That's the only way that works in that scenario. Scenario, because it has to be an Elseworld. It doesn't fit into the MCU at all.
Right. Well, and that's part of the thing that everybody's talking about, like phase this and phase. I was like, you don't have to just have. It doesn't all have to be the same puzzle. Like you can do different things. It's perfectly okay. Comic books do it all the time.
Do it all the time. They do it all the time. How about some shit that just doesn't matter to the rest of the, MCU?
Yeah, they spent, and I understand they spent so many years, weaving the MCU, and it's cool and it's beautiful. But you get to the point where it's like we've said before, phase 4 doesn't make sense. No idea what's happening. No, even Kevin Feige kind of came out and said, yeah, we're going to do better next phase. Be like, you don't have to just do phases. You can just do a Thor movie. You can just do a Captain America story. You can just do an Iron Man story. It doesn't have to be all the same damn story.
Remember Marvel one-shots?
Remember Image one-shots?
Well, one-shot. Well, yeah, but Marvel came out with the one-shot.
I would say comic books do one-shots all the time. It's okay.
All the time.
You know why? And DC does so many Batman one-shots or short stories that have nothing to do with continuity, and they're awesome, and it's okay.
And they go, oh, you like that? Well, that really happened.
Yeah.
It did just like that. But, yeah, so. My advice to you is if you plan on going to see Thor Love and Thunder, don't read this. Go see it. enjoy it. Go enjoy the movie.
Well, and that's the thing too, because I think they've got a great actor, Christian Bale playing Gorr the God Butcher. Whatever you want to say about his look, not everything. Been doing this comic book movie game for a little while. They're not going to do everything 100%. They're not going to do everything that you like. But as long as the actor who's portraying him gives their all, and Christian Bale is just one of those guys who might be a touch crazy, might be a touch method, is probably going to be a fantastic freaking Gorr. Whether he knows who Gorr is at all, anyway. But anyway, so that might be worth it. But like I said, if it's just a snippet of the movie, it's like then we're like, and here's to be perfectly honest, I do not know what the fate of Gorr is. I don't know if he's just in this movie or it goes on to the next one. I have no idea. So
I don't. Well, we're gonna find out.
Yeah, we're gonna find out, and we'll let you know. But if it's a hey, he was just sort of part of the big deal in this movie, and we killed him, that's gonna be a hard. That's bad, Adam. That's bad.
Okay, well, I'm going to address that like this: how has Marvel always treated their villains? Secondary characters. Yeah, they're always secondary characters.
Typically the biggest complaint about the villains in the MCU is they're usually either powered down or they're kind of counter to the powers of the hero. So
yeah, and then
it's very formulaic.
And a lot of them are and they're one and dones usually.
Yes.
You know, they brought back Baron Zemo. I thought that was cool, and he was. If you didn't like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you would like Baron Zemo in it, though. At very least,
that's what everybody says. He's the best part. The villain's the best part.
Yeah, and get him out of. I gotta just say this: get him out of prison, and things happen, and he gets back. He goes, "All right, we got to get back to my country or my land, all this kind of stuff for whatever reason. I can't remember. Something to do with the super soldier serum." But they show up on his property, and people have picked him up. He's got a big fucking mansion, all this stuff, and they look at him like, "This is all yours." And he goes, "I'm a baron." That was awesome. I was like, "Yeah, Zemo, I'm a baron. Of course, it's all mine." Yeah.
All right, let's get back into the comics. So the story, and spoilers if you haven't read the books, go read the comics. They're fantastic. Now, Adam, I was able to plow through 11 issues and get to so they have the main story. The first part is, what's the name of the first part? Doesn't really say. But I think it's just Gorr the God Butcher, and I think that's the first 4 issues. And then the 5th issue is like the Gorr the God Butcher kind of backstory.
Oh, yeah.
And then they've got the God Bomb storyline. Yeah, so God Bomb starts in issue 7. So the Gorr the God Butcher is backstory is issue 6, and then the first 5 kind of introduce Gorr the God Butcher. And like I said, so when we meet up with Gorr the God Butcher, he's already just creating havoc on the gods. And so he is a killing machine, and he has defeated every version of Thor so far. And the one time he was only saved by was a group of Vikings who worshiped Thor, so that pissed Gorr off even more. And then,
oh, that's a part I don't remember.
Yeah, he's sitting there trying to tell me. He's like, well, and that's part of, and it's, yeah, I'd really like to have Chuck on, Jerry's brother, on to do some like a little bit of deep psychoanalysis as to some of these characters, because he's sitting there trying to tell the Vikings that he's not worth your praise. He's not worth, praying to. These gods aren't good. They don't care about you. And that's really his overarching story. He's like,
yeah,
hey, I'm going to reveal what these gods really are, And, throughout the Marvel universe, there's billions of gods. So,
and they all sit on their ass, except for Thor.
Yeah, apparently they all just kind of party it up.
Yeah.
Well, they have what Shadrach is the god of what? It's funny because they have a character named Shadrach that I think it's a young Thor meets in the cave, and he looks very similar to Gorr. But that's the thing with Gorr. So we don't know what type of alien Gorr is. They don't really. He's just from a planet, an unnamed planet. Okay,
Yeah.
unnamed planet. Uh, don't know. Don't tell much about it. Except it's just a desolate rock that has no water, and just to survive, you literally got to lick like the cave walls and like the moss up the rocks. That's the only way you're surviving on this planet. So it's a very desolate planet, and we get someone who looks very similar to Gorr, but and this is where you get to see what type of person Gorr is, because he's got a set of eyes here, and then he's got like another set of eyes kind of in his forehead, and he cut off all his eyelids because he wanted him to see what he was doing as he was doing it to the god. It's like, oh, like, oh, this is the type of person that we're dealing with, and basically it's driven this character mad. Yeah. And he's a god, but he's always telling different things that he's gods of. Like I'm god of like trumpets and pies or something, just like kind of goofy off the wall things. And then one of the things they go to is, what's the name of the place with the librarian?
Oh, too long, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Infinity Room.
Yeah. So basically they go to one planet that's got basically it's
every text.
A hall of everything.
Yeah, it's like a hall of records, like an esoteric spiritualism. They have something called the Akashic records. It's like that. It's the afterlife records of everything everyone's ever done ever.
Yeah, and I apologize. I'm trying to find it real quick if I can find it. But basically, they have this character who's the librarian.
Yeah,
that they kind of deal with, and he goes to Shadrach. He's just like, "All right, fool, I'm tired of this nonsense that you're spouting." And he's like, what are you actually the god of? And like I said, he keeps going, saying all this nonsense back and forth. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to kill you if you don't, tell me what you're doing or what you're the god of. And he finally goes, I'm the god of bombs or bomb making. It's like, oh shit. like, oh. And there's a reason Shadrach's been left alive, because he is basically made the blueprint for what's called the God Bomb. So it's this bomb that will literally kill all gods through all of time, all gods, all of
right. Them. That's right. It's like dropping a nuke through history.
Yes, it is. It's exactly what it's a nuke through history, but it only kills gods. And if you're God at any point, any time, you die. And I know they said they built it around the heart. Was it it was a heart of a god, but was it a celestial, I think?
Not sure. I'm sorry. So, it's been 12 years for me, I think, on this. Well, no, not 12. It's not quite 10.
Terrible memory. But anyway, so we get to the end game of this is Gorr's end game. He's gotten to the point where he's like, you know what? Instead of me hunting them down, I'm just going to wipe them out themselves. So he actually enslaves a lot of gods to mine the material that he needs for the bomb. And Adam, who do we meet?
We meet the granddaughters of Thor.
Yeah, so of
King Thor.
Of King Thor. So Odin's been killed. So now we have basically Old Man Thor as Odin in roundabout way. So we have, and there's kind of a bit of an awkward scene because, like we were saying earlier, young Thor gets enslaved, but no one knows that he's just Thor because, he's just another god that's been captured.
Right.
And then finally, they were like, who's going to lead? And all these guys they're planning this rebellion. Well, who's going to lead it? And Thor goes, well, I will. Well, who the hell are you? Oh, I'm Thor. I'm the god of thunder and the god of this. Be like, no, you're not.
Who said that to him?
Well, one of the daughters, because there's
Really?
three.
That's awesome.
There's one that's there's one that's like super sad. She's just like, shut up. You're not him. Because they're like, well, prove it, because
I do remember this now. Yeah.
Make a storm, and he's like, there's simply not enough material to make the storm, and that was another thing, that there was another god, I forget exactly what he was the god of, but there was just not enough material on this planet for them to utilize so that they could use his power. So so they're all enslaved there and basically unable to be gods and use their powers, and all they were able to do was basically be enslaved as workers to mine the material that they needed for the bombs. Or one bomb.
One bomb. Imagine how many deaths you would die. You would die every single second of your life.
Yeah.
You would die in reverse every single second of your life.
Yeah, but there is a funny moment where Thor finally proves that he's Thor, and one of the granddaughters like, so I've been having impure thoughts about my grandfather. Awkward.
Yeah. Well, see, that's a tasteful joke.
Right, yeah.
I mean,
it's one of those jokes that you wouldn't be able to get away with that.
Right.
Whatever. They did it. It's fine. It was awkward. It's funny. So finally, Thor leads the rebellion of the gods. And that's right about the time where all the three Thors converge.
Right.
And so we've already had the point where Avenger Thor and King Thor, they've already met. They're already on their way in Adam's ship. That's it was full of ale, but it's not anymore because Avengers Thor drank it all. King Thor's very upset about it. Well, and that's
drink it all. That's right.
Well, it's funny because before they get off, start the journey for the thing, he's like, I got to go over here and just get ready. I'm old. I got to do stuff. You go over here and get what you need over here. So he thinks he's going to go into this hall of, armor or weapons and all that. And he goes in there. It's like, it's just a wine cellar. He's like, it's so he's just like, all right, I'm going to get what I need here. So he gets a little bit lit and gets a little bit more for the journey. And they start off, and that's when, like I said, all three kind of converge, because now young Thor is starting to lead the rebellion, and he's able to gather enough power to make a storm. So everybody's like, "Oh snap, Thor! You are who you said you are."
I told you I am.
I told you. Ha ha ha. But so then they have young Thor starts the battle Gorr, and that's like I said. Anytime you play with time and all that stuff, it gets a little bit confusing. But eventually, all three Thors are battling Gorr, and they're winning. And they start to win. And so that's when he goes, I need more power. Start slaughtering all the rest of the gods. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
Yeah, he's taking their power when he slaughters them, right?
That's part of it where that's where a little more elaboration would have helped. Where just like, so we know, like I said, I've said this many times. When we catch up to him, he is a god-killing machine.
Right.
But they don't really say if it's just because he's gotten better. But also that's one of the things too. So he gets his power from essentially. Okay, so let's get into the one thing real quick. So let's get into his backstory issue. So we were talking about how his planet's very desolate, and basically, his wife dies, his kids die, essentially just because. Well, his wife died from the cliff collapse. She died with a kid and with child, and then he had, I think, one or two other kids, and both his sons died just from starvation. Sorry, excuse me. So he is a broken and beaten man, and his wife was very faithful to the gods, praying to the gods. Make sure you pray to the gods. And this is where his I hate the gods. They have done nothing for me. They've just taken. They don't care. That whole thing.
Yeah.
And then and he's convinced there are no gods. He's like, the gods that we're praying to, they're useless. They don't exist. And so two gods who are battling literally like fall right in front of him from the heavens. And two guys fall. He's like, wait, you guys have been there the whole time and you haven't done anything? And the one guy's like dead because he was in a battle with another god. They don't really specify who it is. But then he picks up this rock, and next thing, and I looked it up a little bit on Wikipedia. So it's essentially his power comes from a symbiote. I don't know if it's the same symbiotes that are part of the Venom Carnage thing. So
yeah.
So that I didn't look too hard into. If you guys know where the that specific symbiote comes from, please let us know.
Yes,
but
please.
We'll look
please
it up.
Let us know.
But that's where his power comes from, and that's I don't know a ton about the symbiotes and how they work. So that'd be something to look into because, so when you have a symbiote, that basically means you're immortal. That's one of the reasons he can just go through time. He doesn't have to worry because he's formed with the symbiote. I got to go to the end here, but so they fight.
Fighty.
There's some really cool points too, because when they get to the point where it's just like a planet that they're on, where he's having this bomb constructed, so he's got his wife, and his child. And I love the scene because it's so twisted, but yet it just really proves how disillusioned he is. Where his wife goes, "You're so great. You're the best. You're this. You're the best god." He goes, "What? What did you say?" And he kills his wife because she had the audacity to compare him to a god.
Okay. I had the story a little bit backwards. You're right. Okay. So maybe how they took him out was not what I thought. Okay.
Well, and
because I remember that now.
Yeah, so they do have the point where the Thors are beating him, but then he unleashes basically the Thors, or he just starts killing the gods, and he's gaining more power. Getting back to, I don't know exactly where he gets his power from or how he becomes so powerful, but maybe it is just from the blood god, or because they do mention how he's eating the flesh of the god. So maybe that's a little bit of a peek into it where he's actually feeding on the gods. I don't know. So, like I said, a little touch of clarification would help. But we have the point where Avengers Thor is so now Gorr's starting to fight back, and he knocks Avengers Thor into the planet, and he's caught by his son. And his son basically goes, "Hey, like, this is wrong. Like, you can't, like, this is just murder. This isn't doing anybody any good." And so, Adam, what does he do?
He kills his son.
No.
No?
The son prays the Thor. Dun, dun, dun. So, and that's where we get to where, obviously, and this is part of
they
mythology.
show everyone praying to Thor. Yeah.
Right. That's because this is part of, especially Greek mythology, where the gods run on prayers. So, and just like that, so you have Gorr's child praying to Thor that he'll stop his father. And then they show a really cool scene where they show Odin praying to his son. I was like, had me right in the feels on that one.
Yeah.
And so
because he is the All Father in his particular time and place,
right?
And he has his son in that particular time and place. By understanding how time works as the All Father he is, he sees what's going on. He sees a time where he's not there, his son's in charge, and he has to pray. Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah, but also at the same time, the bomb is set off. The bomb's completed and it's detonated and it's starting to kill gods. And so I think it kills young Thor. It kills King Thor, but it's only I think Avenger Thor who is sitting there like fighting. And that's where you kind of get the like, how are you doing this? He's like, because he's dying like a god, and that's what he's like, he's dying like a god. I was like, that's so awesome.
It was metal.
And then it was so freaking good. And then so you've got Thor literally just from the little bit of power that he's gotten from the prayers from his son, or from Gorr's son, and then from the prayers from even Odin, we get this badass scene. Woo!
Yeah.
Where he's absorbed the power of the symbiote into himself. And where Gorr's like, oh no. And he's even talking like I love when they change. Like, one of the things I absolutely love, and it's just such a small thing, like in comics, where when Thor's talking, they use a very specific text to show that the way that and then to show the way that he talks. And then Gorr has a very specific font that is very, it looks jagged, like it's very rough looking. And then when he absorbs the symbiote, his box, because usually it's the white bubble with the black letters. This is a black bubble with the white letters. You go, oh, it's one of those really nerdy things. Like, something awesome is happening here, guys.
Yep. Shit just got real.
It just got real.
Yep. Oh.
And so it was basically, I'm going to read it here. So he absorbs the symbiote. He says, it's not your weapon anymore. It laughs at you, Gorr. Its name is All Black, the Necro Sword, the Slicer of Worlds, the Annihilator. And it was meant to be wielded by a god. But you were right about one thing. No, give it back. It was also meant to kill them. So basically, he kind of goes, the symbiote really goes after Gorr's. Basically, you were a mistake. This wasn't meant to be, wielded by someone such as you. It was meant to be wielded by a god. And it's just like, it's the ultimate humiliation for Gorr. But the character of Gorr, like, golly, he's so terrifying.
Yes, he's a monster.
And one of the things,
and he thinks he's right.
Well, that's always
that's what makes him scary.
That's the scary thing about a good villain, where you can tell when someone's just crazy. Like, you can tell Carnage is just crazy. Right. You can tell he's literally a symbiote who just linked up with a crazy person. There's nothing worse than someone who thinks that they're morally right.
That they're so convicted that they don't see that, it's like Zod and Man of Steel.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and eventually like I said, I'd really like to have someone like Chuck on to kind of take on eventually with. So Gorr's essentially the ultimate atheist, right?
Sure. Yeah.
He not only he knows gods exist because he's gone out and killing them, but he just doesn't believe in them. So because he thinks they're actually bad for everybody.
Yeah, he finds them to be ineffective, not caring, You know, after what happened to him and his family, praying, and then bam, you know, they just fall out of the sky. Didn't they kill his wife and kid too when that happened?
So at the beginning in the back issue or later towards the end of the story?
Back issue.
In the middle issue, his wife actually they're kind of standing because it's not quite a desert planet, but it's just a rock. And so the only salvation is caves. So they're standing on like the outer part of the cave, and then the cliff collapses and she falls and dies, and she was with child. So that was part of it. And then so he kind of goes, well, we're going to take the rest of the tribe and we're going to march over here where we think there's water, you know, at least some resources. And during that journey, he basically the rest of his family, the rest of his sons died. So.
Rough.
And that's where we get later, where he actually sees the gods crash down in front of him. He's like, "Oh, you jerks! You've been real the whole time, and you haven't done nothing. You've just been fighting up there, not helping anybody." So, and that's
I think that says a lot too, though. Like, see, that's a mature topic. There's people that feel that way about
100%.
Yeah, you know, people go through that loss of faith and everything. And Love and Thunder's not going to really do that justice.
No, well, and that's kind of why I said, man, if you're gonna do the Gorr, the God Butcher storyline correctly, I mean, you kind of got to do it in 3 movies.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, my friend.
Let me see here, because there was a spot here that I want. Oh, and that's part of the other thing too. So when Avengers Thor takes on the symbiote, he actually ends up dying from the symbiote because it poisoned him enough to kill him. Then he gets resurrected later by King Thor. Let's see. So I'll just read this. So this is, you know, not quite the death blow, but Gorr's been defeated, and he's like, damn you all, damn all the gods. You don't deserve this victory, and you know it. All you've ever brought this universe is misery. Gods don't create mankind, but someday, if they're not stopped, they will end it. Mark my words. And this is his son. It was like, was it a god who killed my mother, my son, or was it you? Or are the two one and same now, Father? Behold, Gorr, god of hypocrisy. I thought that was pretty damning. Where his son says, behold, Gorr, god of hypocrisy. It's like, ugh.
That's a
oof.
See, he gets it all from all sides at the end. It all falls apart.
Right. The whole, like I said, I'm not getting into the whole faith argument, but it's just one of those things that he's become such a monster that not even his family believes in him anymore.
Yeah. Whew. And but you won't get that next tomorrow.
Yes. I'm gonna guess you're not, like you said, not gonna get that in just a little bit, like a sidebar in Thor Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Because it starts off, you got the Guardians of the Galaxy in there. You got Jane has somehow rebuilt Mjolnir. I don't know how. And now she can wield Mjolnir. And like I said, I'm really intrigued. I'm going to be the hardest part. I really don't care about Jane Foster being back as I just don't care.
You don't want to see the Lady Thor?
I just don't care about it. The whole thing, she left in such a crap way where she thought she was better than comic book movies, and then it turns out that's kind of all she had going for her. And she kind of not quite, crawling back, but it's a little bit of her crawling back and eating a little bit of crow. So I just don't care that much. And also, she didn't take, spoiler, all her muscles are going to be CGI. she didn't put the time in the gym like all the dudes do, and you know,
I thought she was beefed up.
yeah, because of CGI, she's not beefed up in real life.
I saw her arms. Her arms were pretty big.
Yeah, that's all CGI.
Well, okay.
Because that's because they've done interviews with her. She looks the same, because when you had all the Snyderverse movies, you had everybody posting these videos of these guys and Gal Gadot like just working out constantly, trying to get in shape. And say what you want about Gal Gadot, like she put in the work. She just doesn't have the frame to put on, muscle like that.
True, but she put in the work. She beefed up, and then when she was younger, she was in the Israeli army and all that stuff. I'm quite sure Gal Gadot would probably kick my ass.
Oh, for sure. Well, yeah, that's when you
yours too, Nick. You're like, oh, for sure, she'd kick your ass for sure.
I would let her for fun. It's fine. Oh, Gal Gadot wants to beat me up. Oh, let me stop that. Like I'm gonna punch her in the face.
No, you don't want to do that.
No.
That's like, just watch English Bob talk about royalty and presidents in the movie Unforgiven, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. We started on that.
Talking about the Queen.
Yeah.
On Independence Day.
Yeah.
I guess you think of kicking you, Bob.
So that's my little bit of stickler with Natalie Portman. I was like, I'm not going to say she didn't hit the gym, but I'm not going to say she did not put in as much work as Chris.
Well, yeah. I like being entertained, so I'm excited to see costumes. I'm excited to see space. I'm excited to see Christian Bale on the screen again.
Yeah, I'm gonna go my usual way. I'm coming in low because I want to be. I'm gonna come in and think it's crap, and if it's not crap, I'm gonna be happy. So
everything I'm saying right now is such a fake thing to say, but that's how much I don't believe in this movie. Like, I want to see some cool special effects. I want to see some cool costumes, and I'm going to try not to walk out after so many stupid fucking jokes.
So, let's see here. So, real quick, I forget the runtime. It's not very long though. And that's the other thing. Like in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of a shorter Marvel movie. So,
Taka.
We used to have it at the top. There it is. It's 2 hours. 2 hours runtime. So the tagline is Thor enlists the help of Valkyrie Korg and ex-girlfriend Jane Foster to fight Gorr the God Butcher. Right. I wish I didn't read that.
Read it one more time. I can't wait.
Because we just went over the damn comic book storyline. Because it's he's only defeated by the power of 3 Thors. And now this is what we have.
So he needs the Lady Thor to help him.
Thor enlists the help of Valkyrie Korg and ex-girlfriend Jane Foster to fight Gorr the God Butcher, who intends to make gods extinct. At least they got the gods extinct part right.
Okay, so all these people, and these were all the knuckleheads minus Natalie Portman, who were telling stupid jokes in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, I like the character of Korg. That's fine, but dude, like, yeah, I'm not. See, I want to come in low. Now I'm just irritated. I just read that one sentence freaking sent me over. I was like, son of a biscuit.
Son of a biscuit. You there?
Yeah, I just hit the wrong button.
Oh, okay.
So, but you know what? I'm okay with that look for Gorr. That's fine. Yeah, man. Pass the ads. Yeah, I don't care about the love story.
Yes, sir. Gonna be a love story. Well, it's got to be a love story. because it's Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder. Thunder from down under. Thanks, Taika. So, all right. Yeah, and okay, so that's one of the things I wanted to get into. Disney might be in trouble, Adam, with their movie selections. If this does not kill at the box office, they're going to be in trouble because they've already taken a hit with Lightyear not performing well. It's already considered a flop. It already got beat by Minions, the latest Minions movie, that destroyed it in the box office. And this movie was, I think, projected to open somewhere around between 160, 180 million. They've lowered those to 140 to 160. I think it'll hit that projection because there's too many yahoos like you and me who just want to go have fun and be entertained, but also for the show.
They were you talking about Buzz Lightyear?
No, I'm talking the projections right now for Love and Thunder.
Oh,
the projections for Lightyear were 150 million
opening weekend.
Opening weekend, that's what we're talking about. Opening weekend projections, and it fell so short. It's not even funny. So that's already considered a flop. Now, the biggest thing that the biggest teller for how good a movie is the amount of drop off from opening weekend to the following weekend. And that's where I think you're going to really see what people what people think, because Maverick has already broken the record for the least amount of drop off from a movie. So
Maverick's got legs like the
it's just I know people who went and saw it back-to-back days where it's like I went and saw it again, and you know what, when I saw it the second time it was better. It's like, damn, dude, there's people going, you know how long it's been since they've had a movie where people that's not a comic book movie, that people have gone back to back to go see a freaking movie in the theater? That's been a while since I've heard people doing that.
Oh my gosh, I know. I am looking up what Thor Love and Thunder has to follow the following weekend. So we've got The Warrior. And it looks like we got Deer King coming out. That following, here we go, Friday, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. I don't know who Mrs. Harris is, but okay. Paws of Furies, that's a DC dog movie.
Yeah.
The Deer King, I don't know what that is. Looks like it's animated. We got The Gray Man, and we got Where the Crawdads Sing.
Oh, my wife will want to see that.
So,
no blockbusters in that bunch.
Right. So it might have a shot of making good money on the second weekend.
No,
but it's still going to be a drop off. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, I think the drop off is going to be considerable, and I know it's kind of a little bit crazy to say, but I think if this movie hits 700 million, I'll be shocked, because the Disney properties have not been performing well. Disney has been getting slaughtered at the stock market. Disney has been taking a lot of losses this year, and it's really essentially all their fault. So, and I've said this before, don't mess with nerds, because nerds, you know how nerds
You just go, well, that's stupid.
Well, because nerds actually spend money.
Right.
That's why you don't mess with nerds. That's why we were talking earlier, about one of the reasons I wanted to start a channel, and then we started a channel. It's because tired of freaking people, especially directors or studios, going after fans. I say and it needs to be called out, and it's bullcrap. And Disney has really gone so far out of their way to alienate their core fans, the nerds, that people, the nerds are. That's why I say nerds are so important to any fandom, because the way they show their appreciation is by buying nerd stuff, action figures,
They're gonna buy the
lightsabers,
merchandise. They're gonna buy
toys,
yeah.
everything. Because when you're a nerd, you want to show that you're a nerd. You know, they
You
do not care.
too.
Show that you're a nerd. So don't mess with nerds. We will not buy your crap.
No,
We'll spend it on other stuff.
Yeah, like cool nerd stuff.
Like Ninja
Like
Turtles. Like people who care about their fans. Like Ninja Turtles. But
the Michelangelo code.
But that'll be actually. We're going to do a toy stream as soon as we wrap this up. So, Adam, you want to wrap this up, and then we want to move on to toys?
Sure.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching this. This was kind of we're a little bit all over the place, but
well, I'm sorry. Can I just
before we say whatever you want
before we close this thing? Nick's going to close this, and I just want to say this real quick. These things, these comic book movies, are they becoming fatigued? Are we becoming comic book movie fatigued? And anyone who watches this, whether you're watching it now, thank you, or you watch it later, comment below and let us know, what you think. It doesn't seem like anybody's got any moving parts right now. Seems like we're in this weird kind of limbo. Now I know the state of the world is weird too, so yeah, let us know, because this movie, Thor Love and Thunder, I really hope it's the last one. I just do. Put this thing to bed. Unless it goes in a totally different direction. So
yeah, do you mean as far as Chris Hemsworth as Thor, or just
yeah,
because I agree. I think there is, because I think, like I said, the nerds will come out if they feel supported, if they feel like it's something worth supporting, they'll come out and support it. The normies who are just, I think, and I don't mean this derogatorily at all, but that's mainly what you have with fans of the MCU. They're kind of normie fans. They're fans of the movies, maybe fans of some of the toys. They might have purchased a couple of comic books, but they're not your normal nerd who's going out and buying all the comics and buying all the T-shirts and buying all the statues and buying, marking calendar dates for when movies or TV shows are coming out. That is what nerds do. The normies don't do that. They'll find something else to watch. They'll go watch Netflix. They'll go watch Stranger Things. They'll go watch Umbrella Academy. They'll go watch anything else. So I do believe for the average fan, they are fatigued and don't care anymore, especially when you have a rudderless ship, which is Marvel Phase 4.
The weird thing is, I look at what's out at the theaters right now, and there's other movies out there that I'd rather see than a superhero movie. Like, you'd have to put Superman or Batman in something, or Spider-Man or something, just to get me in there. Like I still haven't seen Maverick or Top Gun, and I'd rather go see that.
And you should. Yeah, well, that's the thing too. And now, because I talked earlier, I didn't say it on the show, but we were talking earlier. I want to have, a fan strike back show where we talk about, wrap up Stranger Things. Just Stranger Things season 4 just wrapped up. That's better than I'm going to say it right now. It's better than the Thor Love and Thunder. Umbrella Academy 3 just wrapped up. I'll talk about that later. Kenobi just wrapped up a few weeks ago. You've got shows like The Terminal List on Prime that is getting rave reviews that I binged. That I don't binge. I binged the crap out of that show. You have that show just wrapped up. You have a lot of things that are way better than Thor Love and Thunder. And we talked about it. And if we want to talk about it now, you get to sit at home and watch at your leisure. And then you've got jackasses like James Cameron coming out and going after fans because fans saying, hey, I don't want to sit in a theater for 3 hours for your movie.
I wish I could have been the guy to respond to that and be like, look, dude, I still haven't seen your stupid, shitty movie, and I'm not going to see your second one either. And anybody else who goes to see it, that's on them. That's their thing. But I didn't like it.
Well, no, and here's the thing. your movie is about a decade too late. Your sequel is a decade too late.
Yeah.
Because you've had the monsoon that has been the MCU, that has people be like, Avatar, what? Avatar? Oh, another Avatar is coming out. Oh, that's interesting.
You wonder if he waited it out.
I do. Well, here's part of the issue too. I think he's got like 4 sequels lined up for this thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot. It's not just like 1 or 2 movies. He's got sequels upon sequels. And when Avatar came out, it was a monster. It was huge. But also, like, it's one of those movies where, like, you watch it. Like, I remember watching it. Like, I watched it, and, like, a couple days later, I was like, that was just Dances with the Wolves in space.
Yes. I got that too.
And
well, I didn't watch it. I actually, tell you the truth, I didn't. I've heard a lot of that. But everybody calls it Dances with Wolves with the blue people.
Yes, that's all it is. It's not an original storyline. There were some incredible stories that came out, like people committing suicide because they were hoping they'd end up on Pandora. I was like, that is awful.
What?
And yeah, that there was people who were committing suicide because they wanted to go Pandora. I was like, I don't think that's how that works, but that's fine. But yeah, James Cameron has come out and basically said, hey, fans who bitching about 3-hour runtimes, shove it. And you know what I'm going to say? I'm a nerd with the nerd money. I'm going to go spend my money somewhere else.
Yeah, he said, quit whining. Quit whining.
Quit whining. I was like, don't make people wait. When did Avatar come out? Like 13 years ago?
2009?
I want to say 09. I was like, almost 14 freaking years, man. Get your crap together. But, oh no, stop bitching about 3-hour runtime. Stop making movies like that.
Stop making movies.
Yeah, well, make better stuff. All right, we're going to wrap this up. We're going to come right back with a toy show because there's some good toys out there, guys. But I just want to thank all the subscribers. And there's a few people popping in and watch us for a few minutes. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.
If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. It helps the channel. We are on Facebook and Instagram if you want to interact with us. I put out a bunch of nonsense posts that hopefully some people like. And we are also on Spotify, so you can go check us out there. We are The Escape with Nick and Adam. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, folks.
Good night, America.
Love your planet, Houston.